Hey, phones have finally stopped kind of going nuts today. We've been trying to do some videos on different types of paint, specifically flat paint for your house. So there's three different things that we really like about flat paint. Starting with cost, because typically flat paint is cheaper than higher sheen paints, higher builds, like the emeralds, urethanes, different things like that. So if it's a flat paint, usually you're in a lower price bracket, and coverage is actually a little bit better. Not always. Depends on color. So if you get into whites, it doesn't really matter. Whites don't cover very well, but it covers better with flat, and flat typically dries a lot faster. The other thing about using flat, especially I'm going to use apartments because we're painting a couple flip type apartments where they're townhomes and condos. Just people are in about a year to 2 years and we repaint them. Flat paint is a great option for that because there's always holes that have to be filled. There's always cracks that have to be fixed. And there's just a lot of wear and tear that happens in high traffic areas like apartments where it just gets beat up. So the great thing about flat paint is it hides everything. You really have to struggle to see the imperfections in the walls when you're using flat paint. A lot of places where, electrical outlets have to be redone, water issues, ceilings, there's huge open areas, and, sometimes, the drywall, you get a little bit of a wave in there, old nail pops, cracks, fills, fixes. Every time you use those flat paints, and especially for ceilings, CHB is probably the top. If you're in the Midwest, CHB is the best. That's what we like to use overall. The new 200 is doing a really good job, but I still think CHB is best. If you have to go back and do a lot of touch-ups, it doesn't seem to, there's a difference. It's slight. Some people don't see it. I do, so I select the CHB. But for walls, it doesn't matter if you're starting off at the lowest end, and you can pay a lot of money for flat paint, but you usually don't need to. Usually you're paying more money because of the type of tints that you have to put in there, some of the deeper bases. So we did a location that had a black, and they wanted flat black. Well, yes, technically it's flat, and yes, it's black. However, once you start adding a lot of tint to a flat base, you lose that pure, flat, opaque, just dull, you just lose it. It starts to get a sheen to it. If you look at it from the side, you'll start seeing a little bit of sheen marks, and that's because of the tint that's in there. You can combat that by using a dead flat clear. There's a couple different ones. Old Masters makes a really good one. Full Effects makes a really good one. We haven't used that in a while, but those are two really good dead flat sheen varnishes that you can put on there. So if you have a wall where, black, blue, reds, or whatever you want flat, stripes is a really good example of that. So sometimes you get the stripes on the wall. People put tape on there to get flat, shiny. Usually it was easier for us if we took and painted the shinier stripe, taped the shiny wall, and painted a clear flat over it. It was a lot more forgiving, and we have to worry about how many different layers we had to put on of the red to get that sheen on there. The flat just covered everything perfectly. One of the other good things about flat paints, a lot of designers, interior decorators use the flats or recommend the flats, flat is actually the best representation of the color that you can get. So once you add a sheen to it, it starts reflecting colors, and the more colors it takes on, the more color and hue it'll change. So different times of the day it can change what it looks like. We did a job in Elmhurst where we painted the house, and it was an off-white color flat, but they had a lot of bright, vibrant green trees on the two windows next to it, and that room looked green. And until we put the blinds back up and closed the windows down, you would have swore that we painted a color that was green in there. So what is in the room does affect the color on the wall. Flat, not so much. You might get some reflective hue off there, but you're not gonna get a ton. So touching up is the other final thing. Touching up is amazing. If you're using flat paint, it's awesome because you can go in and you can usually just, if you have a nick in the middle of the wall, you can take your roller brush and just do a little dab or do a roll on there, and it covers great. So flat paint, that's why we use it. Where we use it everywhere. Ceilings is probably the primary area that we're using flat paint. And then in homes, we use flat in our house. but it's an older house and the walls have just, they're nasty. It was built in 72. A lot of people didn't do a lot of good work on the walls when they did the repairs, so it's got a lot of just bad patch jobs. So I didn't want to see it, so we used flat. And then we covered it with a gray, agreeable gray. So you don't see anything on that wall except flat. And we tested emerald. It's supposed to be a washable flat. Yes, it washed, but I don't think it was that great. So we just touch it up. It's not that big of a deal. But overall, flat paint for touch-ups is great. So that's the why, that's the where. If you got questions on how we can do it for you, give us a call, let us know. And love to see how you can help you love the space you're in. If you got questions on paint, to let us know. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see what the next video is. Next video, we're gonna do sheens on low, matte, and eggshell. So we'll put a link to that. I can't guarantee I'm gonna get the little pop-up like guys are doing, but if so, it'll be up there. If not, you'll have to check out the link, or it'll be the next played video on there. Hope you guys are having a great day, and God bless.